Hello everyone. First of all, I'm so sorry I was keeping so much busy that I was not able to record. I have created all the content, but I wanted to do better scripting. However, time is the sense now. We are already on Tuesday and the exam is on Sunday. So please excuse me. I couldn't make the PPT in a proper manner. However, I have created the quiz from chapter 1 to chapter 8. This is more a practice quiz based on the mandated material, what kind of a questions can come. Also it will help you to do the quick revision. So in this particular video I am going to cover chapter 1 and chapter 2. I'm also mentioned the answers and explanation for each of the MCQ, and just like the temp format of the exam is that we will have MCQ, we will have fill in the blanks, and we will have a short answer questions. So I'm trying to keep the practice test in that manner only. I hope it will be helpful for everyone. Let's quickly complete this quiz, because I'm sure once you go through the video, once you go through the meditated material, this will become a cakewalk. Nonetheless, we are preparing for the exam, and in the exam we need to perform, we need to articulate in the right manner. So that is the reason this practice quiz has been created. So first question is, what is described cause of human suffering? So the humans are suffering because of delusion and ignorance. And what kind of delusion and ignorance? It is regarding birth, aging, sickness and death, right? Why are both extreme views considered incorrect? So in chapter 1 we studied about the two extreme views around annihilation and permanence. Both are considered incorrect because though they have lot of differences, but the common theme is that they both view the life from the birth onward. They don't have answers, what happened before birth. That is something they're not able to answer. That is a common incorrect thing in both of them. Now, according to the middle way, the ultimate purpose of practice is to live such that one has no fear of death. That is the ultimate purpose of our practice. That is the reason we are practicing on a daily basis, so that we can migrate or transmigrate from delusion to the Buddhahood realm. Now, the rhythm of universe is defined as, the answer is birth and death, arising and extinction. So, rhythm of universe, all the living beings, no matter whether they are micro or macrocosm, whether they are as small as virus or bacteria, or they are as big as planetary system, whosoever has whosoever falls under the living being category, they will definitely go through the cycle of birth and death. They will have or they will arise, and they will go to extinction. That is the rhythm of the universe. Now, why does Namyo Rengekyo embody the life of law of life and death? Because Namyo Rengekyo in itself contains the phrase called Myo and Ho. Myo means death, Myo means unmanifested form of life, Myo means latent form of life, Myo means going to a sleep, Ho means the awakened form, Ho means the manifested form, the form which is tangible in nature. It is like coming back from the sleep. So I'm trying to merge multiple topics here so that you quickly go through the main concept. The story of the boy in the snow mountain illustrates. So if we go back to chapter 1, we realize that there is a phrase from the Gosho where Nichiren Daishonin mentions snow mountains, who basically peeled his skin so that he can write the Buddha's wisdom, right? So that kind of a seeking spirit the snow mountain had. And why is it so? Because he dedicated one's life to Buddhist practice. Because if we dedicate our life, even a even a even a bacteria or even a mosquito values the life the most. Everyone values the life the most. So if you're dedicating your life, then you are dedicating the most important thing to the to the law. Why is faith described as the only way to inherit the law? So that is where Shakyamuni Buddha told that even Shariputra and Ananda, the top scholar of that time, couldn't comprehend the wisdom and the magnanimity of Buddha's wisdom. So that is the reason, if you really want to inherit the law, then you can only do through faith. Faith is the only way to do that, right? What does the text say about sustaining faith across past, present and future? So it basically means that we continue chanting life after life. So one thing which is very common across all the chapter is, the Buddhism doesn't look to the timeline in a linear manner. It is not like that past, present and future are in a straight line. However, it is in a circular motion, right? So present will turn into future, and present will also turn into past. That can only happen when it is circular motion in nature. So one thing is leading to another, right? So when we say we have to sustain faith across past, present and future, it basically means we will continue chanting life after life. What is the reason behind telling that it is circular in nature? That is out of the scope of this book. However, just to keep simply think of it like that, even in a generic way, we always say history repeat itself. The tendencies always keep on coming and become recurring in nature. Why is it so? Even in our daily life, if we have some bad habit, that will keep on coming up if we don't correct ourselves. So that is, from that point of view, we can understand that even the past repeat itself, right? It also means that if I take the corrective action in present, then it will impact my past, it will impact my bad tendency, it will impact my overall habits which were I'm carrying, not just from this life, maybe from the past life, based on the karmic storehouse, which is the eighth storehouse in nine level of consciousness. Too much for this question. Now let's move to the next. One who is Buddha in life is Buddha in death. Most directly implies, it means that life state what we have at the time of the death, that will continue seamlessly beyond death. So the idea is that universe has all the life states available within it. At the time of our death, whatever life state we will continue in that life state after our life also, right? Now, that is the reason we say we are Buddha in the life and Buddha in the death. So if we uh, awaken to our Buddhahood, and if we attain Buddhahood in this lifetime, then we will get into the Buddhahood realm altogether. What combination allows the heritage of the law to continue into the future? So we talked about मैं आ जाऊंगा जहाँ. So, what combination allows the heritage of the law to continue into the future? So, we talked about if we really want to enter into the rhythm of universe, the only way we can do is through faith. However, to sustain the faith, to continue in the faith, we can only do through when we follow mentor disciple path and we follow man in body, one in mind. According to the text, the Buddha's one great reason for appearing in this world is that is the first page itself. It talks about the reason Buddha appears in this world is so that it can open up the way, it can display, it can realize and enter the Buddha wisdom. So open up the way, the Kosan Rufu Bodhisattva way. That is the reason Buddha appear in this world. The Buddha did not answer question on afterlife, because so there is a phrase where it is said that Buddha was asked by the followers, what will happen to you after the death? What happened to you before the death? In that case, the Buddha remained silent, because ultimately it's not like that he didn't have knowledge. It's just that it was something very immaterial. And if he, whatever he says, people are going to do the construed the different ways and different views about it. So that's the reason he kept silent at that time. The root cause of suffering according to this text is ignorance, delusion, right? When we are not awakened to the true nature of life and death, then we are in the orbit of suffering. Life and death are two phases of Myoho Renge Kyo. It means that both are functions of mystic law. Mystic law contains both life and it contains death as well. Myo means death, Ho means life. All living beings are entities of Myoho Renge Kyo, because they undergo arising and extinction and the 10 worlds. So think of it like that, a tick box. If you really want to understand who all are living beings, so living beings will have three characteristics. First characteristics of living being is that um, they will follow the mystic law. Ultimately, they are mystic law in itself. So they will be governed by the mystic law of ultimate law of life and death. So every living being is governed by Myoho Renge Kyo. The second is that every living being will have a nature of arising and going into extinction. The third is every living being will have a capability to display the 10 worlds. So if any organism or anything which can have a capacity to display uh, the 10 worlds, right, and which goes through the arising and extinction, they will be governed by the mystic law. We can take it other way around also. Buddha's intent in teaching life and death was to enable people to awaken to the timeless law within themselves. Now, few fill in the blanks question. The chapter explains we suffer because we are ignorant of four delusion: birth, aging, sickness, and death. The view, nothing after that, is labeled as one of the extreme view, which was a view of annihilation. The view of an eternal spiritual entity that transcends the present self is extreme permanence. That is another extreme view. The middle way teaches living such that we have no fear of death. So that is the ultimate purpose of our practice. Myo means death. It also means unmanifested life, and it also means to revive, revitalize. All living beings are governed by the 10 worlds. So that is one of the characteristics of all living beings. Upholding faith till one's final moment is attainment of Buddhahood in this lifetime. Earthly desires can become a source of enlightenment based on Namyo Renge Kyo. Dialogue invokes the spirit of Bodhisattva, never disparaging. The Buddha appeared in this world for one great reason. Ignorance of life and death leads to endless suffering, it leads to endless delusion. The view of annihilation and permanence both look only from birth onwards, right? Some match the following. So there are three concepts, and what is the meaning of it? So myo basically means unmanifested form, ho means manifested form, and birth and death, arising and extinction is rhythm of the universe. Faith, many in body, one in mind, and mentor and disciple. So many in body, one in mind is required for the unity of Kosen Rufu, and faith is the only way we can inherit the law. And mentor disciple is a lifeblood. With the help of mentor disciple relationship only, we can continue on the heritage of faith. Few short answer question. Explain why the chapter rejects both extreme views of life and death. So we have discussed it in detail in the video. So both extremes, annihilation and permanence, they both look only at the present self from birth onwards. They ignore existence before birth and the deeper law governing life and death. So and also both are not, one gives hopelessness that nothing is going to survive, the other gives lot of self attachment that I'll be continuing in the current shape and form even after my death. So that is something, you are getting attached to a lot of, self, lot of worldly things. So that's the reason Buddhism rejects both the extreme views. Describe how chanting Namyo Rengekyo functions as a rhythm of the universe within one's life. So when we chant, ultimately we are acknowledging the rhythm of the universe. So chanting aligns the practitioner with the universal rhythm of birth and death, because Namyo Rengekyo itself embodies Myo and Ho. And by chanting, one internalizes this rhythm, breaking free from delusion and fear. This becomes a path to inner liberation. So we need to really internalize it. And when we chant, we ultimately get into the rhythm. And as simple as that, whenever we are in a particular frequency, we start tapping the benefits or the disadvantages of it. So that's what. And of course, when we are in the rhythm of universe, and rhythm has everything is in abundance. So when we align ourselves with Namyo Rengekyo, then we can get everything in abundance. And why chanting Namyo Rengekyo function as rhythm of universe? Because Namyo Rengekyo in itself contains the arising and extinction phenomena, which is very much the rhythm of universe itself. Why is faith considered the only means of inheriting the law? Because law is so magnanimous, law is so difficult to comprehend that it cannot be understood completely in entirety. That's the reason, if only and only through faith you can get entry into enlightenment, right? How does the chapter reconcile earthly desires or enlightenment with continuity till the last breath? So idea is that we all have earthly desires. Even Kosun Rufu is one of the largest earthly desires we all have, and these earthly desires are the one which propel us to do lot of activities, chant, and base our life to get the wisdom, compassion, and courage based on the chanting Namyo Rengekyo. So when we continue to practice in with that intent, even the sufferings becomes a source of joy. That is what we have seen in a lot of actual proofs as well, correct? Summarize why mentor disciple and many in body, one in mind are essential for Kosen Rufu. Because accepting is one thing and continuing is another thing. If we really want to continue in the practice, then we need to be in the right community, which may be different in their looks, caste, creed, color, orientation, and their talent. But till the time they all are single-mindedly focusing on Kosen Rufu, then only the greater good, the greater goal of Kosen Rufu can be achieved. At the same time, mentor and disciple is the bond which will help to us to make sure we do the right course correction at the right time. So these are the two main ingredients if we really want to continue on the path of heritage of faith. Why is dedicating one's life considered the highest offering? That's we just discussed, that um, everyone values the most, what they value the most is life. Even in one of the Gosho, Dashanin said that one day of life is more than tens and hundreds thousands of gold, something on those lines. So if we are offering something which is the most valuable, which we value the most, that means we are ultimately doing the highest offering. That's the reason when we dedicate, it means dedicating, it means working for the law. How does the Buddha's one great reason relate to the heritage of the law? So the reason Buddhas appear in this world again and again is so that they can make everyone equal to them. And the law that made them Buddha is none other than Namyo Rengekyo. So they by design became Buddha, whosoever is, because of Namyo Rengekyo. And that's the same reason they're coming back again and again. And it's not like that if I have become Buddha, now tata bye bye, khatam ho gaya, main ja raha hu. It doesn't work like that in Buddhism. So that's it, chapter 1. If you go through it quickly, then Let's quickly move to chapter 2. I'll target to complete it in the next 10 minutes. You have already seen my son was after me that what you're doing. We have some after dinner plans. So let me quickly wrap it up. So chapter 2, the true heritage. What establishes the legitimacy of Namyo Rengekyo as a heritage of the law? So chapter 2, we remember we talked about the heritage, the true heritage, and how this true heritage was passed on. The entrustment process happened in ceremony in the air, right? So that's the answer. And there were three key stakeholders. There were three people, main people who were part of that entrustment process: Shakyamuni Buddha himself, Manitrashus Buddha, and Bodhisattva superior practices. Now, according to the chapter, what is the key doctrinal proof of the heritage of the law within the Lotus Sutra? That in itself is ceremony in the air. The treasure tower entrustment process, the entire process has been clearly called out. It was never called out in any of the previous and after teachings of Gautam Buddha. So that was the only place where Shakyamuni Buddha talked about entrustment for the and passing on the doctrine, passing on the baton to Bodhisattva superior practices. The ceremony in the air demonstrates that the transmission of the law was entrusted to being trained since the remote past. So there were a lot of other bodhisattvas available in that particular ceremony in the air. However, Shakyamuni Buddha, in the presence of many treasures Buddha, gave the entrustment, passed on the baton to only bodhisattva superior practices, because in a sense Shakyamuni Buddha has taught bodhisattva superior practices. He has trained him since the remote past. Otherwise, the other bodhisattvas were trained for the former and middle day of the law, but he was the only one who was trained for the latter day of the law. And he was not trained in that lifetime, but he was trained before remote past में उनको train किया गया था. Why could superior practices manifest Buddhahood in others? So the fund, that is where the concept of Buddha, the 10 worlds also come, because we will see that in another question. The answer for this is D. He carried the original law from remote past training, because he has the right key. He knows how to unlock based on the training he has received from the Buddha in the remote past. Which teaching was first revealed in the Lotus Sutra, making the heritage unique? So Lotus Sutra was highly revolutionary. Apart from passing on the entrustment, that was the other significance of Lotus Sutra was that it for the first time talked about the democratizing the Buddhahood, that anyone and everyone, including women. Why we are saying including women? Because at that time it was mentioned that women cannot attain Buddhahood, so they can also attain Buddhahood. That was also for the first time was preached in Lotus Sutra. Mutual possession of 10 worlds is highlighted because it demonstrates one can directly shift between worlds. So Bodhisattva superior practices was also aware of this phenomena of mutual possession of 10 worlds. That is something, that's the reason he was able to unlock the Buddhahood in his lifetime, in his life and the others' life as well. What is the true purpose of ceremony in the year? The true purpose of ceremony in the year, which was only the insight, which was ultimately understood by Nichiren Daishonin, was that ceremony in the year, that entrustment was basically for the later to carry forward the legacy for the later day of the law. Shakyamuni's role as stakeholder proves that the entrusted law is correct and appropriate for the age. So not just Shakyamuni Buddha passed on, but he also called out that I am passing it on for the latter day of the law. So none other than Shakyamuni Buddha himself passing on. So now there are no ambiguity or question mark around it. Now, what is the doctrinal meaning of Shakyamuni having attained Buddhahood in the remote past? So as an expedient means, we know that there was Siddharth who went out of his palace, saw the four kind of sufferings, and finally renounced the world in the search of the ultimate truth. He got the truth and he became Gautam Buddha, right? That was an expedient means. But in Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha also told that it's not like that I attained Buddhahood in this lifetime, but I have attained in the remote past. Why did he say so? He said so because he wanted to assure everyone that everyone has inherently Buddhahood within themselves. It's not like that you also have to go out of your house or step out of your duties and then do multiple rigorous training, and then only you will be able to uh, attain Buddhahood. But Buddhahood was always within me, and this entire Siddharth becoming Gautam Buddha is more of an expedient means. So don't get fooled by that. You all have Buddhahood from within past, just like me. Now, many treasures Buddha's presence primarily signifies the universality and correctness of the law. So it is said that whenever the Lotus Sutra will be preached at whatever time, wherever, the many treasures Buddha will come from Nirvana and sit beside the person who is preaching the Lotus Sutra. it will not say anything, because his presence in itself means that the Lotus Sutra, whatever is getting preached at that point of time, is none other than Lotus Sutra, and it is universally applicable, and it is the correct. So that is the function of many treasures Buddha. Why was law not entrusted to Bodhisattva of theoretical teaching, that we have discussed? Because they were meant for earlier ages, not the later day. Bodhisattva's superior practices was uniquely qualified because he received direct training from Shakyamuni in the remote past. Why could Bodhisattva's superior practices manifest Buddhahood within others? Because the same question which we had earlier, that because he possessed the original law, he was the only one who understood the original law, and which was expounded to him by none other than Shakyamuni Buddha in the remote past. He has been trained directly. The text says Bodhisattvas of the earth dwelled beneath the Saha world. That means what? That symbolizes what? It means that in the depth of our heart, in the deepest corner of our heart, the darkest corner of our heart, the uh, the mystic law is residing within each one of us. Okay. So now the next question is power of heart. So power of heart refers to the courage, conviction, and compassion arising from faith. Heritage of the ultimate law in this text is described as faith-based inheritance through practice, unity, and mentor-disciple. Now, that is very important question. Substituting faith for wisdom means what? It means that um, faith gives rise to wisdom even when we lack intellectual study. So, it has been said that Bodhisattva's superior practices had the power of wisdom, and he had the power of practice. However, the bodhisattvas of the earth, the multitudes of the disciples of bodhisattva superior practices, has two qualities. They had the quality of power of faith, um, or the power of heart, and power of practice. Why? Because everyone will not be equal. It's not something intellectually everyone will be at par. However, it is not the intellectual, it is not your intellectual capability that will make you do Kosun Rufu, but it is your heart. Everyone will get impressed by the not your intellectual capability, but they will get impressed and they will get awed by your heart, the power of heart. And when you have a power of heart, when you truly understand the other person, then you will eventually get wisdom to talk in a right manner, in a right condition, and you will be able to talk the right things as well. So that is the meaning of substituting faith for wisdom. Why is power of heart emphasized? So why? Because power of heart is something which can only break through, which is the only thing that can break through fundamental darkness and ignorance. Power of practice means what? Power of practice means our shakubuku and our daily practice. It means doing dialogue and human revolution. The entrustment to bodhisattvas of the earth is essential treatment of the entrustment to bodhisattvas of the earth is essentially entrustment of heritage of faith. So that is what the entrustment to the bodhisattvas of the earth is. What shift happens when one awakens to their mission as bodhisattvas of the earth? When somebody get awakened to their mission of bodhisattvas of the earth, then instead of seeking the help, they start providing the help. Even when they are struggling, they are going out and encouraging the other members of their division, right? So that is a fundamental shift. Your life state, your life force expands, your life state expands. Instead of just looking within, you start looking without. Now, Soka Gakkai is described as a gathering of bodhisattvas of the earth spreading the mystic law. Power of great perseverance for bodhisattvas of the earth corresponds to the power of practice. It also corresponds to strength to endure hardships and continue the propagation, which said best summarizes the three characteristic features of bodhisattvas of the earth. So, bodhisattvas of the earth has three characteristics that we discussed in the chapter. They have a firm intent, they are perseverance, and they are very skillful in doing shakubuku. Being clever at difficult question and answers. This refers to the power of shakubuku and power of speech. So these are the questions from chapter 2. Now let's quickly go through the fill in the blanks. The treasure tower scene represents the heritage of the law, entrustment process, passing of the law. Ceremony in the air is the doctrinal basis for transmission of the mystic law. Mutual possession of 10 worlds allows direct transition between life states. Shakyamuni is the eternal Buddha who attained Buddhahood in the remote past. Many treasured Buddha attest the correctness and universality of the Lotus Sutra. Bodhisattva superior practices was trained directly by Shakyamuni Buddha in the remote past, and that he was the only one who knew the ultimate law of heritage, and that was the only reason he was given the entrustment, not the other Bodhisattvas. Now, Bodhisattvas of the earth emerged from the space beneath the Saha world. It also means that within each one of our life, the mystic law was always within each one of us. Power of heart means substituting faith for wisdom. So when you chant with faith, ultimately the wisdom will flow. It's not other way around. Wisdom without end. The next is wisdom without faith is zero, right? Power of practice includes one-on-one dialogue. So power of practice means that we will do shakubuku, we will be perseverance, and we will have a power of speech. Soka Gakkai is described as a gathering of bodhisattvas of the earth. Space beneath the Saha world is also means the mystic law within our own lives. The characteristics, firm in their intent and thought, corresponds to the unshakable vow, and power of great perseverance corresponds to hardships, and being clever at difficult question and answer corresponds to the power of speech and shakubuku. Now, there are three matched stakeholders: Shakyamuni Buddha, Many Treasures Buddha, and Bodhisattva Superior Practice. So, Shakyamuni Buddha entrusted the law, Many Treasures Buddha attested, and Bodhisattva Superior Practice propagates the law in the latter day. Wisdom, power of art, power of practice. So, wisdom basically means what? Wisdom basically means leading all people to happiness. Power of heart basically means breaking fundamental ignorance, and power of practice means doing dialogue and human revolution. Remote past, space beneath Saha world, and heritage of faith. So, seed of Buddhahood exists in all of us since the remote past. Space beneath the Saha world, that is where we all resided, Bodhisattvas of the earth resided. Heritage of faith is the foundation for transmitting the law. Some short answer question. I'll request you can pause the video here and go through the answers. I'll just quickly go through the questions. Why was Bodhisattva superior practice chosen over all other Bodhisattvas? Explain the symbolic meaning of dwelling beneath the Saha world. Describe the three qualities required for bodhisattvas of the earth to spread the law. What was Toda Sensei's awakening and why is it important? Let me quickly take through this, because when Toda Sensei was in the prison, he got the realization that he is a bodhisattva of the earth, and with that realization, when he came out from the prison, when he got released, he put all his soul, body, efforts, mind, everything to spread the law, and he is the one who ignited the chain reaction and able to achieve a sustainable flow of bodhisattvas of the earth by achieving a target of 750,000 households. And why Soka Gakkai called the torchbearer of the heritage of the law? Because it functions as a gathering of bodhisattvas of the earth who actively awaken individuals to their mission. So we are following the path of mentor disciple, we are following the path of many in body, one in mind, and generation after generation, we are from first president to third president, we are continuing the our struggle in faith and life. So this is it. This is the quiz for chapter 1 and chapter 2. Thank you.